What's going on, everybody? Guys, what is with all these boomer takes about Elon Musk there?
These technocrats are at war with the human form itself, and openly, and Elon Musk is pioneering it. He doesn't even want you to drive your own car. Just sit back and allow the AI to have agency while you sit passive like a baby in a pram being wheeled about.
I just watched Morgoth's video about Elon Musk and why he'll never go to Mars.
In recent years, the Western billionaire class have found a new interest in space and space exploration, which seem to have died out in the West. Now the voyages into the Great Void are not the stuff of patriotism or manifest destiny, but something more like a status symbol. The space trip has become the equivalent of a yacht or the Caribbean island. There's an odd, half-hearted social media campaign to garner interest among the masses, but as with so much else these days, we're not really involved or interested or asked for any feedback. It's a sign of the times that far more people are more interested in Elon Musk buying Twitter than they are with his SpaceX projects and his plan to travel to Mars by 2029, and then beyond that, colonize the wider galaxy, supposedly.
What is with Morgoth's super nihilistic take there? Filled with science fiction, dystopian, fantasy, nightmare stuff there about Elon Musk and SpaceX. What is with the reluctance to take at least the space stuff at face value? For one, I don't think Morgoth has been paying attention to the development that is actually going on behind the scenes. You have to know that it's happening and be interested to notice it, really. And I don't think Morgoth has. He might be a bit naive to it because he's not really interested in space there, in the final frontier, apart from, unless it's served up in a dystopian science fiction book there. What I would say is that there's 50-50 chance that my naive zoomer optimistic take about Elon Musk is correct and Morgoth's super nihilistic boomer wannabe dystopian fan fiction take is correct.
Many people don't even take Musk's plans to explore space seriously at all. They'll say it's a cynical tax avoidance scheme, or it's entangled with the deep state, or it's just a way to roll out the technology of the fourth industrial revolution and the digital agenda. Space exploration in the 2020s smacks far more of the super rich playing with new toys that could be turned on the rest of us than it does of boldly going where no man has gone before.
In your video, you question whether it'll ever be possible to get to Mars and Elon Musk's motivations. Your main point is this philosophical idea that maybe the human species has been too cooked to realise the spirit of adventure and exploration for exploration's sake, as in bygone days. I think we are getting super cooked as a species, you're right there.
Western man's yearning to explore is a primal, even a metaphysical condition, almost a spiritual quest. At root, it's life-affirming, a simple joy at living and zest for life and adventure, but it cannot be rationalised or reduced to data.
I think that Elon Musk has a real chance to get to Mars. Am I just a naive idiot? Am I just being optimistic here, not seeing the bigger picture? I don't think so. Here's why, okay? Elon is building... He's essentially stolen the plan of a guy called Robert Zubrin. And Robert Zubrin came up with this idea decades ago called Mars Direct. And his idea is fundamentally different to what NASA had ever considered doing before. How? Well, instead of some huge operation costing hundreds of billions of dollars and taking 30 or 40 years, including multiple stages and a base on the moon, all this unrealistic shite, Robert Zubrin came up with the idea of called Mars Direct, and he pitched it to NASA decades ago.
Dr. Zubrin.
Why is NASA stuck in low Earth orbit?
The problem with NASA's lack of current achievement is not money. The problem is lack of focus, it's lack of a goal. It shouldn't be humans to Mars in 50 years. It should be humans to Mars in 10. We can do this. We do not need gigantic nuclear electric spaceships to send people to Mars. That is pork, it's nonsense. The primary question I get from American people is, why aren't we doing this? There's a big sense of disappointment, almost verging on a sense of betrayal. The purpose of spaceships is to actually travel across space and go to new worlds, not to hang out in space and observe the health effects from doing so.
Robert Zubrins' idea was fundamentally a game changer, and it proposed that we send multiple stages to Mars. Now, one of the things you seem to be confused about is the basic mechanics of sending something to Mars. It's not something like whatever you said in the video, 6 years or something like that. It's not that kind of trip. Every couple of years, Mars and Earth come at their closest alignment, and that's the time that you can send something there, so that as the orbits align, it's the quickest trip. And that takes about 6 months with the current technology. So Robert Zubrins' breakthrough idea was that you send, on the first opportunity, you send an empty ship with nobody on it. And what you do is you send it with the AI, the robotics, to be able to, when it lands, to start generating fuel for a return journey. And also on that spacecraft is a return ship, living quarters for astronauts. So this ship lands and it starts producing the, whatever it is, oxygen, hydrogen, methane, something like that, some kind of rocket fuel. That the chemistry is a no-brainer. The atmosphere contains this stuff and we know how to do it. The ship can land and it can just start siphoning the atmosphere and producing a ship full of fuel. And then 2 years later, when the planets are back again, at this point, the next ship sets off. And this one contains the astronauts. This one contains the first Martians. And so that's a 6-month trip. And then when they get there, there's already a ship waiting to return in, fully fueled and waiting to bring them home. Now this plan has come on a long way since then. But Elon Musk essentially has stolen it and privatized it, and that's what he's going with. But along with that, he's developing a fully reusable rocket that has a huge commercial potential too. Because, if you don't know, at the minute, the rockets, the most reusable rockets are the Falcons that SpaceX has. Others are trying to develop them. But essentially, those only are half reusable. The first stage is reusable. And that comes back to Earth and lands either on a ship or where it took off from. Now, I know some people don't believe it even exists, but look, Thomas, trust me, you can go and watch them land for you with your very own eyes, dude. So, that's what's happening. That's why I think it is possible. But more than that, the amount of iteration, the amount of development on this starship, billions of dollars that have been put in there, is huge, dude. Absolutely huge. In the last couple of years, there have been dozens of tests.
For the first orbital launch, our goal is to make it to orbit without blowing up.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Yep.
And frankly, if we even get if the booster even does its job and something goes wrong with the ship, I would still count that as good progress.
Yeah.
Like basically, actually, to be totally frank, if it takes off without blowing up blowing up the stand, the stage 0, which is much harder to replace than the booster, that would be a victory. Please do not blow up on the stand. That's my number one concern.
You can go on YouTube and follow the channels that watch this stuff. There's a load of geeks on the internet who watch the SpaceX test site at Boca Chica. It's not closed in. You can actually see it from a distance, and so people have got super duper cameras trained on it the whole time. And so these tests, when there's a test, there's a bunch of nerds on the internet and they do live streams and watch the whole thing. And they get thousands of viewers live for like 8-hour streams, and then the test will fail or be aborted, and then everybody's tuning in the next day. But you have to know that this is going on to even be aware of it. So just to dismiss it out of hand, I think, is missing the point. I think you might be blinded by the dystopian vision, the War of the Worlds fanfiction in your mind there, to realise just how close he really is to achieving this goal. It seems real to me, and I would dare to suggest that the weight of evidence is on my side that it's actually possible.
Every program's got dirty laundry, but in this case, it's in public. But this is also a case where we're intentionally iterating the design rapidly.
Yep.
And basically, ships and boosters will either be amazing lawn ornaments,
right.
which then have to be stored, and they look awesome.
Yeah.
But we don't want 12 of them. It's going to look bizarre, and where will we put them?
Yeah.
So, since we're making rapid iterations with each, almost with basically every single ship and booster has had significant iterations. But you either want it to blow up, or the early ones, you want them to blow up, or you're going to have to find a place to store them.
Right.
So we actually want to push the envelope, and frankly, like, if you don't push the envelope, you cannot achieve the goal of a fully and rapidly reusable rocket.
So we'll see, won't we? But the amount of iteration that's gone on over the last couple of years is huge. But more than this, your premise that Elon Musk's will to discovery is what's driving him, that in your video you said you don't doubt that when a journalist has asked Elon Musk, why do you want to go to Mars, that he's answered just because it's there. Well, what I want to say, dude, is I've never heard him answer with that. What I've only heard is his answer that if humans are not made a multi-planetary species, and if the opportunity to become a multi-planetary species, we don't take advantage of that opportunity now, while there is the potential, then all the signs are that there's every potential for us to kill ourselves, basically. Eat ourselves alive, fight over this pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan once famously called it.
Hey, how's it going?
Let me give it to you something.
Okay.
This one. This for you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right?
Thanks.
We're gonna make it.
All right. Cool.
We're gonna make it.
Hey, Sam.
All right, Sam.
Thanks, Zero.
Hey.
Hell yeah. So, those are the jacks on each leg.
All right.
The jacks that we got. So on top of that column right there, there's some shim plates. We believe we're off by half an inch,
Half an inch.
like
Damn.
the
okay.
plane. So what these guys have done, they added plates where we think we're gonna be high, and we'll keep the crane on the whole time while we're jacking. And then Robert, you wanna talk about the lap plates that you guys have?
Sure. Yeah, as we're leveling, we might get some gaps here that are bigger than you'd like for your weld gaps. So if that happens, we got some just plates to bridge that gap. So we
Okay.
weld there, weld up top.
It's a lot of steel.
Yeah. And then over here, that little thing that I pointed out in the launch now goes into this alignment. So we got two places here. So we'll be able to go right in here. That locks
Okay.
us
Oh,
in on
great.
rotation.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So this is key. This was tracked in.
Sure. Well, as you can see, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring you up here. We've got a handful of guys on pad B right now, suborbital pad B, so that we're ready to take a ship. So we've been on this off of it the whole time, but we've got a few days on that. So we do want to knock some of that out right now,
Okay.
so that we're ready for ship 20 when it comes out here.
All right.
And then we got a bunch of people on the prop farm, and then tomorrow at 5 a.m. when the guys get in, they start rigging and lift at 9. This whole area is cleared. So all the guys that were going to be on the launch mount all go over to the prop farm. So actually some of the guys' work tonight is not actual physical work, but prep for the army that goes over there tomorrow.
Okay.
So that we can be effective with like 70 people.
Got it. Great. Well, it's definitely a beehive of activity. That's
yeah,
good.
this is super exciting.
And really, Elon Musk, if you take him at his word, I know, could be a naive Zoomer take here. Absolutely naive Zoomer take. Feel free to criticize that. But if we take him at his word, then he saw when the coronavirus shit happened, he saw the fragility and the stupidity of the human species here on Earth, and he ramped up the development of this Mars mission tenfold. And he's all in on it. All in on it. And the weight of evidence is on my side. I've been watching over the last couple of years. I follow what's going there. If I'm a geek about anything, it's this stuff. Okay, semi-exposed. I've been following it. And it's fascinating. And it's super impressive too. I have to say, I think that he has a real chance. I think if you followed it, you'd be shocked at just how close he is. And that he's committed to this idea that he wants to make human beings a multi-planetary species while there's the opportunity. And really, it can only be done like the Mars Direct idea, but with a private company doing it, answerable to nobody else.
But it's also pretty amazing that on a project of this scale, you're still measuring things in days. You're still like a day, you know. I mean, that's impressive. When other people are like
really
months,
minutes and hours.
seconds. Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's nonstop. It's not like you're doing that because there's a launch in 2 days. You're doing that the whole time this place has been developed. It's been like down to you're counting every minute and second. I told the crane operators, what would you do if there's an asteroid heading to this planet in 8 days?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they were told today.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe there is.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I think if we operate with extreme urgency, then we have a chance of making life multiplanetary. Still just a chance, not for sure. If we don't act with extreme urgency, that chance is probably zero. And the rate of innovation is not going to be constant. It's either going to increase the rate of innovation, or it's going to slow down. If you look at American access to space with crew, we were able to go to the moon in '69. Then with the space shuttle, we could only go to low Earth orbit. And the space shuttle retired. And then for almost a decade, there was no America had no access to space with people. So this is a pretty bad trend. It's trending to zero.
Right.
We need a very strong trend in the other direction in order to have any chance whatsoever of making life multiplanetary. Yep. So that's the reason for the extreme sense of urgency.
It's legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be long dead before, Mars is self-sustaining, but hopefully the momentum is strong in that direction by the time I die. Hopefully, which probably isn't soon, but no.
Wow. Well.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
So, that's the flip side of the argument there. Let me know what you think in the comments below, dudes. The other thing that you said in your video that I want to push back at is that you reckon that even if we build the tech, even if we could build the ship and have it ready to go, we might not find any volunteers. And I think you're wrong about that. Whilst I agree with your fundamental take, and I don't want to take anything away from it about us being cooked as a species, losing the will to just want to go out there and do stuff, what I'd say is, certainly as somebody who doesn't have kids yet, I'd go. If they asked for volunteers tomorrow, I would go. I'd sign up. Even if it was a one-way trip, I'd sign up tomorrow. I really would. No joke there.
Most people recognize what's left after you go is the good you left behind. And to take part in a venture of this character, of such a historic character, of extending the reach of the human species, this is something of immortal significance.
I don't think you'd be short of volunteers. I think there's lots of people still. Maybe I'm a bit optimistic, too optimistic. Who knows? But if they're looking for somebody, let me say right here, I volunteer. Okay. Alright, dudes. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate you, dudes. And I will see you later. Later, everybody. Later.